Ebru TV Primetime News begins right now. My name is Winnie Lubembe and our sign anchor tonight is Joyce Wairemo. Now, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe has raised alarm over the rising cases of the novel coronavirus in the country. And of course, he has asked Kenyans to brace themselves for tougher times ahead. Kagwe said the rising infections are a harbinger of a second wave. He attributed the rising cases to the return of normalcy following a relaxation of restrictions imposed to avert the spread of the virus. This comes even as 685 more infections have been reported in the country, raising the caseload to 44,881. Abdiaziz Hashim kickstarts our bulletin tonight.
Shortly after holding a brief with the National Emergency Response Committee on Coronavirus, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says the new infection rate in the country indicate a 12% positivity rate compared to the 4% positivity rate before COVID-19 restrictions were lifted, thus hinting.
Those same business people and business owners who pleaded with the president to reopen the businesses because of the hardships they were facing as a result of the closures. I plead with you to work with us in enforcing measures in order to stop the possible escalation of the restrictions.
For a long time, over the 7 months, people have been asking, please open the economy. And we've been opening the economy. The president has looked at ways of ensuring that our economy continues. But if we lose this individual responsibility that we're supposed to have, then we go back to a situation where it's now between health and the economy. And health will always be the one that takes preference.
The CS further noting that the laxity by many has led to the cases skyrocketing. Kagwe said there are over 1,000 admissions in various health facilities, with the majority originating from prisons.
There is no doubt that we are witnessing what our modeling team this morning were calling a case of new infections. We are heading for a second wave without doubt.
A worrying concern for the Ministry of Health is that there is an increase in ICU cases, with 28 patients currently being admitted. Nairobi, Mombasa and Nakuru counties are on the spot with escalating cases.
When you, for instance, go to the pub, get infected, in turn, infect your children who are now back to school.
We are supervising and monitoring the implementation of these protocols in school through the county health surveillance teams. But the surveillance teams are also on the lookout for any surge in number of cases in schools. So we have trigger actions that will be able to alert us if something is happening in a particular school.
The Ministry of Health announced 685 new cases of coronavirus, tested from 4,912 samples. According to the CS, some 105 patients have been discharged after full recovery, bringing the total recoveries to 31,857.
There are some counties that are now beginning to be of concern. And you will remember that when the disease started and some counties were more heavily affected than others, we had to take measures to contain those counties, restricted movement so that people would not be able to, so that the disease can be contained without people spreading it to other counties as well.
Unfortunately, 7 more patients have died in the same period, bringing the total number of fatalities in the country to 832.
And still on COVID-19 matters, the Health Ministry has warned politicians against holding rallies without adhering to COVID-19 safety measures. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe has apportioned blame to politicians as key contributors of hiking cases of COVID-19. Our reporter Jeff Kaimba with more details on that story.
Despite numerous warnings to politicians in holding political rallies amid COVID-19 pandemic, the message seems to be falling on deaf ears. Each and every weekend, politicians crisscross several parts of the country in drumming up support for their own agenda, even as COVID-19 cases skyrocket, a matter that has been of great concern by the Health Ministry.
Even the citizens themselves make it very difficult for the politicians not to have those rallies. Because if a politician is driving around or getting out of a meeting and you gather around and you stop the person, the politician, from moving, you cannot really blame that person.
Deputy President William Ruto has been on the forefront of spearheading campaigns that has attracted huge crowds. Apart from Deputy President William Ruto, Opposition Chief Raila Odinga is among the politicians who have defied the COVID-19 safety measures and hit the road running in drumming up support for the BBI initiative.
And there is no reason why the government would have to tell the leaders what to do. The leaders are the ones who should actually be telling us that because of this disease, because we can see a second wave is beginning, please stop all gatherings.
Also on the hook of the politicians, threatening Kenyan lives through COVID-19 infections is President Uhuru Kenyatta, who was in the recent past addressed a mammoth crowd in public where citizens are not wearing the face masks. Interior and the Coordination Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i joined the fray of politicians by subjecting the Kenyans to risky behaviors likely to create high chances of COVID-19 infections.
That going forward, if Kenyans begin to fall in the streets, political leadership that is creating those gatherings must take responsibility and own up to that fact. The people in bars who are allowing, like the ones now I'm told in Langata Road, which we had closed a while back. Now I am told that there is even a new dance that is now the main thing in those bars. I can't remember, it's Jerusalem or something. It is the main activity now. That once Jerusalem gets in, all measures go out.
DNC party leader Musalia Mudavadi and his Ford Kenya counterpart Moses Wetangula have, on the other hand, organized political rallies by hitting out their opponents opposite to their agenda. By now, CS Kagwe has threatened to reverse the measures should the cases continue to spike. Reporting for Ebru TV, I'm Jeff Haemba.
And all staffers and members of the County Assembly of Uasin Gishu will undergo COVID-19 testing before proceeding to self-isolation. This comes after the death of Huruma Ward MCA Peter Kiiru Chomba, who succumbed to the disease. County Assembly Speaker David Kiplagat, during a press briefing on Sunday, said the autopsy showed that the MCA succumbed to COVID-19. All members of staff have been asked to proceed on a 21-day compulsory leave.
We've lost Honorable Chomba to the COVID pandemic, which has drastically now affected the arrangements that we had already put in place for the funeral. As a committee, in recognizing the role Mheshimiwa Chomba played in leadership in this county, remember he didn't just start as an MCA, he had been a councillor for 10 years in the Eldoret municipality. He was an MCA serving his term. And therefore, he had offered leadership as part of the leadership of this county for almost 20 years. And our thinking as county government of Uasin Gishu, that is executive and county assembly, we had, and the family, with the committee, the family committee and the committee of the business community and the people of Huruma Ward, we had decided that we were going to honor our late MCA with a funeral for the county that we would equate to a state funeral at the national government. And our arrangements was that tomorrow we would have been viewing the body officially here at the county assembly. But as you are all aware that the COVID protocols now takes charge, and we have very little control as a committee now on what happens and what needs to be done. Ours is to comply with the protocols that have been given, because of the seriousness of this matter.
We are all aware that we lost our brother, Honorable Peter Kiiru Chomba, on the morning of 10th October 2020. We wish to inform residents of Uasin Gishu and the general public that we have received the official post-mortem results that was conducted on the deceased from the family that confirmed that the cause of death was COVID-19. In lieu of this information, Uasin Gishu County Assembly has commenced testing of all honorable members and staff. Further, the County Assembly shall remain closed for 21 days, starting 17th October 2020.
Now, at least 2,054 residents in Nairobi were tested for COVID-19 on Saturday across all 17 sub-counties. This was part of Phase 2 mass testing that was launched by Nairobi Metropolitan Services. Statistics from the NMS office reveals that Makadara sub-county recorded the highest turn-up of 247 people who tested for the virus.
The exercise entered its second day as Nairobi residents queued to get tested in various parts of the city. Nairobi Metropolitan Service NMS rolled out mass COVID-19 testing in Nairobi's 17 sub-counties, targeting more than 200 people per sub-county on the first day of the campaign. At least 2,054 residents in Nairobi were tested for COVID-19 on Saturday across all 17 sub-counties. Statistics from the NMS office reveals that Makadara sub-county recorded the highest turn-up of 247 people who tested for the virus. NMS Health Director Josephine Kibaru had earlier noted that they will test as many people as possible after a sustained community mobilization by health workers and community health volunteers. Nairobi County Chief Health Officer Dr. Omoluga said that the agency was hoping to test around 6,000 people when the two-day exercise will be completed. The exercise is the second such initiative by NMS, the first mass testing having been conducted in May.
And this second round of testing is meant to help us know where we stand right now, so that we can plan very well. I think, as you have seen in many countries in the world, they are experiencing second waves. It's very important for us to prepare for it. It's very important for us to know where we stand, so that even as we put up other response measures.
Oluga said the mass screening was aimed at evaluating the burden of the disease in the city, which currently accounts for 58% of the total cases in the country.
And now this is the second round, and this, as he has already mentioned, is really to look at the burden of disease, especially given that Nairobi, number one, is the epicenter. And we have had more than 23,000 cases in Nairobi alone. Over 58% of all the COVID cases in Kenya has been Nairobi. Out of the 540,000 tests that have been carried in this country, Nairobi has carried out nearly 500, more than 500,000 of them. So, and then actually this is very important, because the Ministry of Health will confirm to you that Nairobi is the only city or the only county that has achieved the WHO recommendation.
All right, let's talk politics now. And Deputy President William Ruto has dared opposition chief Raila Odinga to contest in the coming 2022 polls, where it's alleged that there is a plot to shortchange him through fronting a favorable independent electoral and boundaries commission, that is IEBC. But Ruto's remarks were thwarted by Odinga's lieutenants, who remained confident of trouncing him, and this is through the current formation of born through the handshake. Now, our political affairs reporter Jeff Haimba returns with that story.
That 2022 battle line has been drawn is indeed no doubt. Deputy President William Ruto and the opposition chief Raila Odinga are among the key players warming up for the hot and the lucrative seat, even as the formation of the referee IEBC remains a hot potato.
Sisi tunajua kura inaamuliwa na wananchi pale kwa polling station. Na sisi tuko tayari, and we have confidence in the institutions of our nation.
Wewe ambao unafanya siasa ya president wakati hii na uko peke yako, na wakati Raila ataingia ataenda wapi?
DP Ruto is confident of winning the 2022 polls and a referendum duel, which is likely to be subjected to the Kenyans once the second BBA report is out. However, Raila Odinga allies have dared DP Ruto to be on the ballot.
Watu wasikuwe na wasiwasi. Nasikia wengine wanasema ati Ruto amechengwa kwa hiyo mambo ya IEBC. Mimi nataka niwaambie hivi, hata wakitaka waweke Oburu Odinga awe chairman wa IEBC. Mimi sina shida.
Tunajua ya kwamba nguvu ya kuongoza nchi inatoka kwa mwananchi, sio kwa IEBC.
Ikifika 2022 Januari, mimi nikishika candidate wangu na nishike baba mkono kwa sababu siwezi kutoka hapo.
On Sunday, Ruto led his delegation in Embu County where after a church service held a huge rally bashing his opponents of drumming up support of the BBI report to benefit of individuals in the country.
BBI ni mtoto yuko bado katika labor ward na mama yake. Na tunataka tuombe Mungu asizaliwe. Maana huyo mtoto akizaliwa si mtoto, ni fisi.
Nataka niwaulize jambo moja. Nyinyi mnajua hii Kenya ina mpango wa kuongezea mahasla shida na shida na shida kwa sababu ya kuongeza vyeo vya watu ambao wana kazi tayari.
Ukipewa Raila na Ruto mtachagua nani?
But a section of the ODM and the Jubilee members of parliament allied to President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, who attended a church service at Huruma in Mathare, Nairobi County, said BBI is the only way of curing the Kenyan's perennial challenges.
Wakati sisi tukiwa ODM, tukienda uchaguzi, baba alituambia, enda mupike kura na ingine mniachie. Na baba ni nani? Wakati tuliona baba amesimama katika hapo Harambee House anatingiza mkono wa President Uhuru Kenyatta, tulisema Kenya sasa imesungumuza.
Sisi tumesema tunatembea pamoja, tuunganishe jamii zetu zote. Na hiyo ndio kwa sababu baba Raila Amolo Odinga waliweza kushikana mikono na Rais Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
Ruto and his allies have vowed to support BBI process that is people-centered instead of enriching the politicians as opposed to Raila Odinga-led factions who feels BBI is for every Kenyan.
Sisi ODM ndani ya party leader wetu Raila Amolo Odinga wameshasalamiana, sisi tuko ndani na hakuna mtu anatutoa hapo.
BBI ni mtoto ako karibu kutoka, alafu kuna mtu anakuja kufunga miguu. Hataki mtoto azaliwe. Kwa nini? Wacha kufunga mguu, wacha mama azae mtoto, hata kama akiwa kiwete ni mtoto wetu.
Tunataka tuanze kuongea, sio mambo ya vyeo kule juu, nani atapatiwa kiti kule juu, tunataka tuanzishe hapa chini.
Hawa nyinyi mnahitaji mtu akuje na katiba mpya ya BBI ndio mjue hamna maji.
Tuongee maneno ya mwananchi wa chini.
Lakini watu ya Moya mtasimama na Deputy President.
The BBI team is until now waiting for an appointment with President Uhuru Kenyatta to hand over the report, whose content until now remains a mystery.
It's now a do-or-die political duel as each and every leader now goes head-on in supporting for or against the BBI report, which is yet to be unveiled by President Uhuru Kenyatta. Reporter for Ebru TV, I'm Jeff Khaemba.
Okay, that's our very own Jeff Khaemba. But to more politics now. Makueni leaders have termed politics of dynasties and hustlers a recipe of chaos, with rising political temperatures that might bring about violence ahead of the 2022 elections. Election-related deaths have already been witnessed in Kenol, Murang'a County. Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. and Kaiti Member of Parliament Joshua Kimilu observed that the hustlers versus dynasties politics will divide Kenya like never before.
Dynasties and hustlers is splitting this nation. Jubilee is splitting this nation. We have forgotten that in this administration there has been so much corruption. That there has been so much corruption in this government. This is possibly the worst government we'll have in this republic because of debt and everything. On Ambassador COVID more than is yonder. It's a government of thieves. Jubilee is not going to split this nation. Now I am asking the media fraternity, please spread good news. In the post-election violence, the people who are responsible where sang was is because of FM stations, TV stations. When these people preach hatred, zima mic vile ulizima, asijui kama ulizima endemange, ulizima ama kuzima? Kuzima. Just don't give these people coverage. Because this country is greater than the hustler nation, than the dynasties. I can repeat that 100 times. This country is bigger than the dynasties and the hustler nation. This is a country of peace-loving people who want basic needs. 6 billion worth of PPEs are stuck in KEMSA. Possibly, this is an opportunity for the KEMSA billionaires to start selling those PPEs. Can the Kenya government be truthful to the people of Kenya? We have suffered. People have lost jobs. Hotels have closed. Intercontinental has closed. My mother worked there for 25 years. It has closed. What do you think those cooks are going to do? And waitresses. The economy has suffered. President Uhuru, we want the people who are the COVID millionaires to be behind bars, search their houses quickly, because they have caused suffering to these people.
And Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko has said his refusal to sign the 2020-2021 appropriation bill is purely based on law. The governor has clarified that he is not against development, but wants the budget process to be legitimate and not a punitive exercise targeting his administration.
The governor has called on the county assembly to review allocations to the Education, Disaster, Inspectorate and Sports departments. He questioned why the functions still being run by the county government had their monies slashed against the already laid plans in the county fiscal strategy paper for the 2020-2021 financial year.
Waheshimiwa hawa mnaona hapa walifanya kazi mzuri, wakatengeneza bajeti mzuri. Zile sekta ambazo nimebaki nazo kwa ofisi yangu walizipatia pesa, lakini baadaye jioni wakijua wanatupitishia pesa ya budget nzuri, wakora wakaleta budget nyingine, wakatoa ile wakasniki nyingine ndani ambayo ilitunyang'anya pesa mpaka zile functions tulibaki nazo. Tulikuwa na pesa ya michezo ya stadium ilitolewa, pesa ya education walislash 500 million. Hatuwezi jenga technical colleges sasa, hatuwezi jenga ECD centers, bursary, pesa disaster, safety and disaster kwa county bado walitoa. Kwa hivyo ilikuwa ni budget ya dhuluma, inadhulumu mwananchi wa Nairobi.
He revealed that several sectors under his office have lost 1 billion shillings. Another 500 million was slashed from the education department, while allocations for sports was tampered with as well. He called on the assembly to consider the memorandum he sent to them with an open mind.
Walitunyang'anya zaidi kwa ofisi yangu peke yake mambo ya disaster and inspectorate zaidi ya bilioni 1. Kwa education zaidi ya milioni 500. Kwa disaster zaidi ya milioni 500. Kwa hivyo hii ni dhuluma. Tayari tumepitia mambo mingi na dhuluma ya kutosha. Na mimi sasa mahali nimefika siko tayari kudhulumiwa na niko na nguvu za kikatiba. Kwa hivyo ndiposa nimesihi ndugu zangu hawa waheshimiwa kuwa wasimame kidete kama Senate. Turegeshewe pesa zile sekta zimebaki ili tuweze kupeana services kwa watu wa Nairobi. Otherwise hatuna ubaya sana.
On the ongoing demolitions across the city, he said the government is right to undertake the development programs, but called for sobriety and soberness when evicting people. He underlined the need to compensate and move people in a dignified manner without leaving them with no place to call home. Sonko also reiterated that he has immense respect for President Uhuru Kenyatta and the NMS, but called for respect to the rule of law.
Na bado changamoto nyingine ambayo tuko nayo kama viongozi. Hatutakubali wananchi kupigwa kama manguruwe. Serikali iko na pesa. Na katiba ile tulipitisha inasema government inaweza acquire any barabara, any property kitaka kufanya development kama reli kule Kibra tumeona, kama mradi ya sewage pale kwa Kariobangi. Iko na hiyo nguvu. Lakini bado hiyo katiba tu imepatia government nguvu, inasema watu wakuwa compensated. Wataonyeshwa mali ya kwenda ndiyo hiyo maendeleo ifanyike.
The governor was speaking after attending a church service in Kayole, where he was accompanied by area MCA Nicholas Okumu, several MCAs, and sub-county administration and county officials. Busara Naman for Ebru TV.
And some rather sad news. Lawyer Onesmus Masaku, whose hands were chopped, has died at the Kenyatta National Hospital. Law Society of Kenya chairman for Southeastern Branch, Justice Mutisia says the advocate succumbed to his injuries at KNH, where he was being treated following the brutal attack at his house in Wote town by the police woman Constable Nancy Njeri. Now this as Police Constable Nancy Njeri is still in custody at Wote Police Station as investigations continue into the case. Njeri, who is stationed at Makueni Police Station in Wote, is accused of slashing the advocate's hands at his house on October 7th, 2020. Following her arrest, there were claims that the police were trying to cover up the matter to protect their colleague. A police report had indicated that the lawyer had allegedly tried to rape Njeri when she slashed his hands as she was defending herself. However, activists refuted the claims and appeared at Wote Police Station to record a statement. Now, a majority of Kenyans know someone who has been evicted from their residence because they have not been able to pay rent since the arrival of COVID-19. According to a new study by Trends and Insights for Africa, that is TIFA, 76% of Kenyans know someone evicted for not paying rent after COVID-19 hit. At the same time, only 3% of respondents who had been working before the COVID-19 report now earning with all or most of what they had been earning then.
The second release of TIFA's Round 3 survey of Nairobi's low-income earners found that measures taken to contain the spread of COVID-19 over the last 7 months have resulted in job loss, loss of remittances, higher commodity prices, heightened insecurity and disruption to healthcare services and education. Among the main changes that respondents have experienced since the arrival of COVID-19, the overwhelming majority are related to loss of or reduction of income at 47%. 80% of all respondents say their lives have become much worse since the arrival of COVID-19 virus, while only 3% say their lives are now better. 94% of all respondents report that compared to what they were earning prior to the arrival of COVID-19, they are now earning either very little or nothing of what they had been earning previously. Moreover, the impacts were found to be more profound and longer lasting amongst low-income earners in more congested urban areas. Of the various measures giving cash put in place to assist the needy in the wake of the COVID-19 crisis, by far more respondents are aware of cash disbursements at 56% and the provision of relief food at 45%. Of the type of assistance given, 20% have received masks, 17% cash, and 15% have received relief food. The survey that was conducted between September 24th and October 2nd, however, did not inquire as to where such evictees were now living or whether this was a direct consequence of the loss of employment.
Let's cross over to Kisumu County, where it is now revealed that the girl child is always at a higher risk of being abused in society compared to the boy child. During the Girl Child Day celebrations in Kisumu, stakeholders from various organizations championing for the rights of girl child are now calling upon the community to be in the front line in protecting the girl child.
It has been revealed that girl child has a higher risk of being abused in the society compared to boy child. During celebration of Girl Day in Kisumu, stakeholders drawn from various organizations championing for the rights of girl child have called upon the community to be frontline in protecting girl child.
Girls and young women are of course vulnerable in many ways, but no one should ever take advantage of us because of our various vulnerability to actually victimize us by maybe raping us, assaulting, and taking advantage of us in every other aspect. So
they further added that girl child with disabilities are vulnerable in the community, especially when it comes to sexual and gender-based violence, to an extent of some ending up getting pregnant.
Community has not done so much. It's still tough because the stigma is very high in the community. I've reached at least a few of them who are exposed early and they got pregnant. I supported them and encouraged them to do family planning because that was what I thought was wise for them to, so that they cannot get engaged again.
It is through the hardships of gender violence that the girl child is going through that the stakeholders have begun a campaign of creating safe haven for girl child.
active safe spaces in Kisumu, you'd hardly find 5. So I think that's an aspect we should deeply look into and probably find safe places in terms of, houses where we can also house, girls and young women who are not safe in their own houses or other households.
We are trying to bring positivity, positive about disability. Once you as a parent, you accept, the neighbor will accept, and the society will accept.
At the same time, Ramina Paulette, who is a climate change ambassador at only 15, has challenged parents and the society to give the girl child space to explore herself.
Many young girls express their feelings and get to relieve stress during the eco-friendly projects. We are grouped in the group of 5, where we'll be able to express our feelings and say what we cannot tell our parents and our guardians. So from that, we are able to go back home happy and also get to know what to do and what to say to our parents and get to avoid peer pressure in any way.
As a deaf person, I have learned a lot from this training that I need to be, I've got a lot of knowledge from this training that I'm going to empower other people in the community.
Daniel Dembede, Ebru TV, Kisumu County.
Well, 33 minutes past the hour. That is where we wrap up Ebru TV Primetime News on this 18th day of October 2020. My name is Winnie Lubembe. On behalf of a very, very big team who put together this bulletin, from our reporters to our video editor, and not forgetting our technical team, and not forgetting our sign anchor tonight as well, Joyce Werimo, we wish you a lovely night and a productive week ahead. Good night. God bless.